Interesting.
Have you guys seen the Liv Morgan arrest footage?
Not the arrest footage, no.
E, have you seen it?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so remember she got arrested a few months ago for the CBD, the cannabis oil, THC, right? So she was in Florida, she got arrested, and then her mugshot hit, and she was looking incredible in the mugshot. They've already dismissed the charges, so she's done with it. But somebody leaked the actual footage and put it up on the internet a few days ago of the officers asking her questions. So in the footage, and I didn't like retweet it because I was like, this is a little, like, in my opinion, a little too personal, even though it's public record. But in the footage, the one cop is talking about, well, she knew a lot about wrestling. I wonder if I don't know if he said, I wonder if she's in WWE or something to the fact that she know WWE. So then she has like a diary, like a journal in the car. They start looking through the journal and they're saying out loud what's in the journal. And she had a lot of affirmations in the journal, like a lot of positive things that she wants to do in life. And then something clicks, something is said or something is in the journal where it's like, oh, holy shit, she's in WWE. And then you can hear the other officer say like, oh, I know exactly who she is. Liv Morgan. And the other one's like, son of a bitch. Oh man, how, like, that is awesome. Oh, that's cool. Whatever. We can have a whole nother conversation on, was that professional or should Privacy. They have looked through her journal? Like, right. You know, all that kind of stuff. But I have a question for us. Okay. Because when I saw that, I got to thinking, where is the most, you don't have to say what it is, but where is the most embarrassing thing you have on yourself? Is it in your text messages? Is it in your notes app? Or is it something in your browser history? Where is the most embarrassing thing you have? For me, it's probably my browser history.
Most embarrassing?
Most embarrassing. Something that you'd be like, yeah, I probably wouldn't have shared that freely. Where is that housed at on your phone?
In my brain. Oh, so we're going purely off of the phone, off the device. Yep.
Browser history, text message, app, or notes app.
A certain particular website browser history, searching part of the actual website. So not even the browser, there's a specific website. And within that specific website, there's a search engine. If you pull that data.
I think we all know exactly what you're talking about. Okay. Got it. E, where's yours at?
Oh, it's definitely my browser history. I'm going to have to clear it right now, matter of fact.
You mean like if I die, like don't search my stuff, whatever that thing is, like just throw the whole thing away?
Just be like, yeah, that's probably not. I probably didn't want that information.
Hey, you know, and it's funny. So I know you guys know I'm a big anime fan, and there's like this a big thing on anime right now is like reincarnation animes. So characters they die in the real world and they're reincarnated in this mythical world.
Okay.
And this guy, as he's getting reincarnated, he's talking to like the god of this new world, and he was like, "Hey, can you please have such and such one of his students please delete my browser history?" And I'm like, "Oh man, we're twins. We're twins." So
that's real though.
Go ahead,
I mean, I wonder anybody else just put it in the comments or shoot me a message. I'm just interested to see. And once again, you ain't got to tell us what it is, but because some people will absolutely say, I can see text messages for sure.
That would be not embarrassing. That would be like, dang, I can't run for political office. I can't pull that one off.
Right.
If you pull the text thread, the text thread is that.
But if you had to pick one, yeah, that browser history is the one where it's like, yeah.
But I'm kind of proud of my embarrassing search.
You proud of it?
I'm a grown woman.
I know that's right. And never mind. Episode 135. I'm gonna go ahead we're gonna pivot from that because we can do a whole conversation on that there. We 135 TFW. That's freaking wrestling. The best podcast going today. 3 the hard way.
3 the hard way.
Matt here. Ishan's here. Rhodesia is here. Shout out to all of you for listening on this excellent day, whatever day you're listening to it. If it's nighttime, we appreciate you. We love you. Rhodesia, we had talked last week about King and Queen of the Ring. We kind of deep dived it last Saturday. I do want to go there from SmackDown, but let's kind of go in chronological order before SmackDown. and I want to talk about the Tiffany Stratton thing. We talked about it a little bit via text message, but I want to bring it up on the podcast.
Please.
So Tiffany Stratton, if you don't know, she put up an IG short, I think it was, and it was a shot of Bianca. I think Jade was on the apron, and Bianca gets hit, and then she dubs over that something from a reality show where the girl is like black bitch and she gets hit. So when I first saw it, I was like, this isn't real. And the reason why I said it wasn't real because everybody was sharing just that same exact like 2-second clip. Like no, so like, a lot of times you can look and see when somebody screen records because you can see them moving their phone. It was none of that. So I was just like, man, like I got to reserve judgment because that looks fake to me. I don't want to jump out the window and then be wrong and then you got to walk it back.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get on social media on Friday and there's word that comes out from WWE that there's no heat on Tiffany Stratton. She's not looked in any type of different way. The match is still on for SmackDown between her and Bianca. And I was just like, whoa, yo, okay, that video was legit. And I go on and look, and of course you got, people far on one side or the other. There wasn't many people right down the middle, which is not in life, but it was either she's racist and she's a white supremacist. And what do you expect from WWE? It was that people. And then the other people was, what's the big deal? She's just playing a character. I'm in the middle on this. I don't think she's racist just because I don't think that. Because we've seen her do like TikToks with like Naya and, Bianca before and the other girls. But I do think it is extremely tone deaf and ignorant that she thought that was okay. She deleted it quickly, but no heat is on her for that. And I'm thinking if there's no heat on her, maybe they know like, okay, that was just a really bad mistake, stupid mistake, because it is ignorant. Like you wouldn't know. She wouldn't know probably why you can't use that clip and you being white. Like you wouldn't know if you just watch television and think, hey, this is okay. That's something that I saw on a reality show, but we know why, right? Like you just can't do that. What are your guys' thoughts on her doing that video? Do you think she's racist or what?
So this is the first time I'm hearing like all of that. I saw the video. I knew it wasn't her voice, so I didn't know it came from a reality show. Initially, I was trying to find the word of what I wanted to call Tiffy. And you're right, it's tone deaf. I don't think she's racist. No, and is it wrong of me and silly of me because of her age that I feel the generation under me, the millennials and even Z, it's not much of that. Like it's like I'll just say how I feel.
I know we just talked about this. What are we?
You're an X. You and E is an X. I'm a millennial.
We're X's. Got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But your millennials, your Gen Zs, I think race is gonna be just different versus like the older millennials, X's, and of course the boomers and such. I think we're getting a little bit further away from race being an issue. That's why I say it's tone deaf. I don't like it at all. And then when I found out that you just said that she actually posted it as an IG story, that's like, just like, what the fuck, girl? Like, don't do that. Like, that's not even cool. So that just tells me a bigger thing that maybe she's just immature. I think everybody get their one. Hey, dang, I made a mistake. My bad. Tap, tap, my bad. I don't think she's racist. I think that was your question. Just because, again, like you said, you see her all the time with all the other girls coming out of NXT. There's so much diversity down there too. So you're telling me that she's been racist this whole time? It's hard for me, and that's a really high charge to call somebody a racist. She's not Terry Below up, but I guess that's it. But that's really messed up. There's no heat on her. That means she must have shown really some remorse that she posted that. But that's just tone deaf, and hopefully that will never, never, ever, ever happen again. And I don't think it will.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know this woman or what's in her heart. But I think, as you said, it's tone deaf. I don't think she's racist, but again, I don't know her. But I don't know if people understand the words that they use, especially in this generation.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about a couple of things here, like I know of a young lady that works with me, and she's always describing people as white tea people. Every time she describes a Caucasian, it's white tea people, right? This lady came in, or this white tea lady came in, and like that's her first adjective she used to describe it, right? Why do I need to know her race and ethnicity as you're talking about her? Like, right? We as a culture do that often. Like, right? We as a culture, when we describe people, we like to put that adjective on people. Right? We got to let people know, because that, I guess, that ethnicity might go into why someone behaved a certain type of way or whatever the case may be. But I think that we have to be careful with that, because it's in our community, it happens all the time. Like, I have friends and family members, every time they're talking about a Caucasian, they have to let me know, like, yeah, this white guy came in here yesterday, or this white woman said this. Or you're like, why are you talking about what if she's white or black? What does it matter in form of the conversation? They said something stupid. They said something stupid, right? The ethnicity doesn't explain why they said what they said. Like, because anybody can make stupid comments. Like, right now, we as a culture at times do that with each other. We do that, right? So I think that sometimes people, Caucasians, if they're very friendly with coworkers and they have, black friends or other minorities, they think kind of like Cody, like they're invited they're invited to the cookout, they can kind of use certain terms and it's okay, right? Because we know their hearts and we know what they mean. That's just how we talk, right? So that's how they talk. Like, right? I don't know how many black friends she has, right? I don't know. Maybe she's kicking it with, Bianca and Jade all day long, and that's what they do in the car, right? They playing, 50, you know what I'm saying? And they just letting them go in that car. I have no idea what's going on in that car. But at the end of the day, I think people just need to be careful of the words they use, especially in this world that's unfortunately very what is I want to say the culture. It's the world that we live in. It's still very racially charged, right? It's a damn shame that we're still dealing with the same things we dealt with our grandparents were dealing with in the 60s, and here is 2024. We're still dealing with racial disharmony. You know what crazy thing? Side topic with Tiffy. There's a new Assassin's Creed game coming out, Matt, and that the new Assassin's Creed guy happens to be black. Right?
I saw that.
Man,
yeah.
People are up in arms about it. A black samurai. This doesn't make sense. Oh my God, right? But at the same time, we've seen, white men depicted in these eras, and they've been samurai, etc. It hasn't been an issue. But this black man being a samurai is a huge problem for these people. So just in the world we live in, people just need to choose their words wisely. I don't think, going back to her, I don't think that she's racist, but again, I don't know her. I just don't have the feeling from her. I don't get the feel like she's like Tessa Blanchard, right? Because she has a history, like a long history of being a bully, and so I don't know if she's necessarily racist. To be honest with you, I just think she's one of those people. Some bullies are just use words to attack you. Whatever's at their disposal, whatever they can think of, they gonna say, right?
Whatever box they could put you in.
Whatever, because they're looking to demean you in some type of way. So I feel like she just wouldn't say whatever she wanted to say to this woman, because that woman wasn't even black. She was Hispanic. Like, so number one. So, I don't think that's Tiffy's. But I hope she learns that, in social media, she use her words kindly. And she'll be all right. Hey, but I want to ask you a question though, same lines. So she lost, right? Let's go right to the show. Do you think that loss had anything? Do you think we had her as a favorite to win, right? And she ended up losing. I was somewhat surprised. Do you think that had anything to do with it? Do you think she was pegged to win and they decided, no, let's pump the brakes?
I don't, after watching the match, because she didn't. If she would have got squashed, I would say, okay, maybe there was something to it. But I'm only going off of the reports, and the reports stated there's no heat on her. There is no disciplinary action being taken. So I'm going to take that as, okay, fact. All right, so then there's not. But then watching that match, which I thought that match, the whole show, I was watching it, and we have family over. So quick personal story. I told you guys back in December when my dad came to stay with us, he watched SmackDown with us. He was locked in, right? He used to watch wrestling with me years and years ago. I told you guys about the Royal Rumble when Rhodesia's mom was here, and she was locked into the Rumble. So this weekend, stepmom is here and mother-in-law's here, and then I have my aunt and uncle. And he used to watch wrestling. He still watches wrestling. But my stepmom was not really into wrestling at all. From the beginning of minute 1 to the end of that show, she was locked into SmackDown. I'm talking about so locked in, she's asking me questions. Like, and some of the questions she's asking me is like for next week. Like, oh, so who do you think is going to win between the Randy Orton guy and the Samoan guy? Like, she's asking me those questions. So she is locked into the show. And once again, I said, like, WWE's doing something right. Because you got these folks who don't watch wrestling and they are into it while they're watching. It was something about SmackDown this past Friday that outside of like anything that had to do with The Rock or like WrestleMania, this was maybe one of their better shows like I can remember in a long time. It just felt like everybody put in that extra % of effort. Like, okay, I don't know if they had like some type of meeting before, they got some good news, but me watching that show and they had a hot crowd. It felt like to me, everybody was like, you know what? I'm going to, no matter what I got, if I got a promo segment, if I got a backstage package, if I have a match, I'm giving 102%. And to me, that was the way the entire show felt. Like everything, maybe outside of that tag match, which I still thought the tag match was good, I thought everything else was at minimally great. And it wasn't like, oh, there was a heel turn here or somebody else won the championship. It wasn't any of that type of like major news pieces. But when you watch, you just kind of walked away like, man, this show was at a super high level. Did you guys feel that at all?
You mentioned, and we've talked about this several times, that a crowd makes the show. And how you mentioned everything on this SmackDown was at minimal great. I didn't watch the tag match either myself. But outside of all that, the first several matches, I actually watched SmackDown on probably one of the lowest volumes because, for transparency, I watched it this morning. Everybody was still asleep. I didn't want to be super loud. And I still saw through just even kind of a silent TV and my closed caption how great the show was. So as far as the opening production, them breaking down all of last week's SmackDown and going back to, that's probably why Mama Lita was like, hey, what's going to happen next week? Because that breakdown in the beginning of SmackDown captured everything that happened this Friday before. And I am now like, yo, this is incredible. The production of it, it seems so good, 5-7 minutes, and now it brings you into the show. So now you are completely caught up and you are excited now to watch the show. So watching those first several matches on really low volume, and I could still see how great that match was. Bianca and Tiffy going distance. To answer E's question really quickly, do I think her loss has anything to do with it? Maybe, maybe not. But what I will say is that Bianca got her get back in her receipt when she slit her clit. Like she did that power bomb.
Did you say she did what?
This is explicit. I can say it.
I know. You said she did what though?
She slit her clit.
All right. You go off there, Rhodes. What else happened? I mean, I wouldn't have thought to say that. So, but that's why we gotta have a female perspective.
The over and over and over again. In my mind, I'm thinking, why did Tiffy have on those type of bottoms anyways? Like, one, you know, they're in your booty hole. So some women like G-strings, whatever. But in the front, it was very thin too. And when she did that power bomb on her, or that suplex on her, whoo. And you saw Tiffy go to grab her junk. She was like, oh my God. So that was the get back. So anybody who thought that Tiffy was racist, don't worry. Bianca took care of it. We're all good now.
Or I mean, if she wasn't racist by what you're saying, she's racist now. So that may be the bigger story.
She's gonna replay the black bitch one on.
Yeah, right, big time. Oh man,
I'm gonna have to go back and look at that. I didn't see no.
Oh, it's
slits.
big time.
I had to watch that.
Mm-hmm. And she goes to grab it, and it's on the internet. That's actually the video I thought Matt was about to start with. Did you see when she got her clit slit? And that's what I thought you was gonna lead with, but you had talked about
clit slit. If this wasn't just a wrestling show, that would be the name of this podcast. But I can't.
You can't produce that on there.
Yeah, we can't do that.
But
I did think the match was fantastic. Just overall, I just wanted to kind of give some background on like that. But no, I thought the match was great, and I thought they brought it. It was a great start. So unless they reformatted the show because of it, the reason why I say no is because for about 45 minutes or so, you thought you may have been getting Bianca versus Jade next week. They even had the interaction after that of like, hey, how you feeling? Like, it could be us next week. I don't think you go through and redo the entire format if that was the case. But do you think her losing had anything to do with that video?
I have no idea. Because as we talked about it last week, I mean, there were so many different matchups, right? And I was like, man, like they can't give us Jade and Bianca this soon, right? And so when you watch the show, it kind of like it kind of helped like that finish with Nia Jax and Jade. That kind of helps Jade not catch the pin, but allows Nia to advance. And then we get to avoid the Bianca and Jade match. But going back to what you said about the show, I thought the show was on fire. I really enjoyed it. For me, I love a perfect wrestling show. For me is when I can just turn my brain off. I don't have to think about what I'm watching. I don't have to, like, hey, why was this done, or why is this spot placed in this area? Like, I don't want to have to think about none of that insider analytical stuff. I want to just watch the show and enjoy it, and that's what I was able to do for that time that SmackDown was on. I did fast forward through the tag match. I was uninterested in it, but majority of the match, it just flowed. That Bianca and Tiffany match, that was a really good match. And they had like some spots in there that seemed kind of clunky, but it kind of made sense because I like when there's like some clunky spots here and there, because that way it looks like an actual struggle in the actual fight. I thought they really brought it. It was like I fell in love with a lot of the near falls in that match, right? Because at sometimes I'm like, oh man, maybe Tiffy got her this time, right? Because like I'm invested in both characters. I want to see Bianca win. But at some point, like, oh, snap, is this when Tiffany's going to go ahead and win? Oh, whew. Okay, Bianca was able to pull it off. This is what I tell you guys about these matches, to where, like, like the Will Ospreay and Bryan Dempsey match. Now, not comparing those two, saying that Bianca and Tiffany was on that level as far as physicality and athleticism and all those type of things. But the thing that was missing in that match for me as a viewer is that I didn't necessarily care who won. Like, right, I like both guys. And if either one of them won, I would have been just fine, right? But in this match, I'm kind of rooting for Bianca, but I kind of feel like, oh, this might be Tiffany's time to go over. But I'm hoping that it's not. So, like, for the near falls, I'm there for them. I'm like, every time there's a near fall, there's like something that happens close, I'm like, ooh, okay, ooh. So, like, I was invested in that matches, and there was quite a few things on the show that I just was here for overall. So great 2 hours of TV for me.
So then let me ask you, both of you guys. So Jade, because you brought up Jade there. So Bianca wins, and the first thing I'm thinking of, the first thing I actually said out loud is, there's no way they can do Jade and Bianca next week. So my uncle's watching, and of course he doesn't watch AEW, so he didn't even know Jade wrestled in AEW, which talks about the reach that AEW has. Here's a guy who has been watching wrestling for 40, 50 plus years, super casual, off and on. He'll catch SmackDown when he can. And so he was watching on Thursday night. They came in and he was watching last week's SmackDown. He's like, so he calls her Storm, right? Yeah. Once again, to talk about the casuals. He calls her Storm. He hasn't called her Jade Cargill all weekend. Every time he talks about it, he calls her Storm. A storm is coming. That goes back to the marketing piece. He's like, what'd you think about her? We had a few minute conversation about Jade. So then when we're watching SmackDown, I go, there's just no way they can do Bianca and Jade next week. And I told him, I was like, this is a night 2 potential WrestleMania caliber match if they hold off. So I say that like as soon as the Bianca match is over. Then they do the face-to-face where they're having a conversation. And after that, I knew they weren't doing Jade and Bianca. So now I'm thinking, now my mind's already into, okay, how are they getting out of this match with Nia? I'm like, do they do a no contest? I was like, they can't do a no contest, though, because somebody's got to advance. You're not giving somebody a bye to the finals. And so I turned around and looked at them. I said, either they're doing a DQ finish or doing a count out. I said, because that's the only way you can protect Jade and then still make Nia look kind of strong, which wasn't rocket science. Like, we know, okay, Nia's not going to pin Jade. But so when we got the DQ finish, I was like, okay, great. Now my question to you guys is, now that her run is over in the tournament, it looks like maybe we're going to be getting a Nia Jade feud after this, because, after the match, of course, they're still going back and forth. So there's still bad blood there. Are you good with how Jade was used in the tournament? Like, do you feel like it made sense? Do you think it was worth her being in there? Or on the opposite, do you say, man, if she wasn't going to win it, I would have rather her not even been in at all?
I still take the former because what we've seen in this King and Queen of the Ring is meaning something. From the moment that first Raw match card lineup popped up, we're like, oh, they some big business here. And it's been that way. They've made it a priority. They made it special. So if this was just any other tournament, then I probably would have said, why would you even put Jade in there? No, let her be, because she's not winning anyways. But because they have put so much stock and so much energy into a great King and a Queen tournament so far, and when I know we're at the semifinals coming this week, I'm completely fine with it. I felt like you were still in my notes about that match with Nia and Jade. I do want to just mention that the match, the DQ to me was pretty genius. Not genius being a DQ, but just genius because throughout the whole match, I knew Jay wasn't going to win. Like, just for some reason, I'm like, Jay's not going to win. This is before she even had her talk with Bianca backstage. I'm like, there's just no way. They're not. And so then as the match is going on, I'm so like involved in it, like as far as emotionally involved in it, that when Nia grabbed the chair, I'm like, you can't do that, Nia, you're gonna get DQ'd. And it was just so fluid on how then Jade grabs a hitter and then boop, no, you're disqualified. And I felt the emotions of Jade. One, again, maybe the element of the daughter. Your mom sucks, right? You know, just maybe all that just took me on this ride to like, I knew going into it that Nia was gonna win. I knew it. And then just to still see how all that transpired and how clean it was, I was like, bravo. And again, it was genius how they did it. Because if you look at it on paper, Jade's not taking the pin. She's not taking it from Nia in a tournament. You just don't do that. How else would we do it? Like you mentioned, a count out or a DQ. So you knew the DQ was going to be a reality. But how they did it to me and how it was done by both of them, both those two women, it was genius.
I thought it was a really good match. I really try really hard. I enjoy wrestling more when I don't analyze when I'm watching. Like I'm just actually watching it unfold. But I do pay attention to like the little storyline stuff. Like I like the interaction with the Bianca and Jay prior to the match, right? You know, Jay comes out, she does her interview. And I like that they're doing that with these interviews. You see a lot of interviews happening backstage, and then another wrestler kind of interrupts, you know, usually with a positive comment or like, hey girl, blah, 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 blah. Like you see them kind of interacting and they kind of talk. And then they kind of have like, oh, it might be me and you next week. And then they kind of say, well, you know, we gonna see, right? You can kind of see already, like they're like planting seeds for a competitive rivalry between the two of them that can potentially go bad later on, right? That may never happen, but if they tell that story, they can kind of start at these moments to say, hey, this is when it started going down, right? I love that type of long-term storytelling, because if something were to pop off, you know, 6 months from now or a year from now, it's not out of the blue, right? They can kind of show a backstory on how maybe the seeds were being planted, these guys or gals were starting this rivalry. So I love that part of it, right? And then we go into the actual match. I love that, you know, Nia is bad talking to like the, you know, her daughter. Now we as, you know, super hardcore fans, we've seen,
Your mom sucks.
you know, we've seen, you know, Jade's little girl on camera quite a few times, right? Now you see her, you know, getting older. And actually it's funny because she's the same age as my oldest son. And so like when I see her, she's like in there, she's smiling. She's like, my mom does not suck. Like, right. And so just them going back and forth. But what was nice for me to see as a Jay fan, like in this tournament, like I'm okay with how they used her, because for me as a fan, I've seen the progression in her as a character and more importantly as a wrestler. Like she seems much more comfortable in there. Like when I'm watching her, I don't necessarily think I'm like, okay, she's kind of tripping over her feet a little bit in there. Like she looks pretty good in there. Like she had like a nice little tussle back and forth with Nia that looked really solid. So for me as a fan, I'm seeing a progression of her going to that next tier of being that main eventer that I know she can be. Because for me, the only thing that she doesn't have right now, I don't think she has a WWE women's main event work style just yet. Because that means something. Because like those women in WWE, like I know people talk about Stardom and other places, but I feel like the best women in the world wrestle in WWE. Like their matches are phenomenal. They know how to grab the crowd. I mean, they're main eventing, you know, huge nights of WrestleMania. So for her to be in that conversation, like she has to get that work rate. I see the work she's putting in. So I was impressed by that. So for me, great showing in the tournament. And I think it's a very smart decision. I'm just very interested in these bracket lineups going forward as well.
There was two things about that match that from like an insider that really got me. One was you could hear Jay telling her daughter, okay, she's going to say your mom sucks right before
Ooh.
Nia says it. I thought that was cool and funny. But the
I
one
didn't hear
from
that.
the one from a like a storytelling perspective was when the referee called for the bell after the DQ. It wasn't immediately. So like it was maybe 3 seconds. It may have been 2 seconds, somewhere around there.
2
That
solid
he called for
seconds.
the bell. Yep. And that was for everybody to recognize of, oh shit, Jay just got DQ'd. Like if you ring the bell immediately, it doesn't sink in yet of what you just watched, right? What just transpired. Like little stuff like that. Like, cause that means something. That's her first loss, in WWE. Now if Nia wants to, I don't know if they want to bring up that Jade has lost, but that's something that Nia can talk about constantly in however long their feud's going to be, is like, I beat you. You lost to me. So that's going to be fun to see. Last question on Jade and Bianca. Do you guys think there's more money in face versus face when they do have their main event match at WrestleMania? This is just for the sport. This is just to see who's the best. We are sisters, but we are both going for the gold type thing. Or do you think the money is in one being a heel, one being a face, the typical normal wrestling type storyline?
Okay, well, how soon are we talking about when it's more money? Are we just saying just in generalities? Are we talking about WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Well, in generalities,
they're both at WrestleMania. They're both at WrestleMania, but either you got face versus face, two of the biggest faces in the women's division, locking horns for the top prize in the game. They're best friends, but it's all about the competition. It's the spirit of competition. Or is it the backstab? Somebody turned on somebody, they imploded, they lose the tag team belts, and now they're fighting at WrestleMania for the singles championship.
The money has to be just what pro wrestling was built on: a good guy versus a bad guy. So to answer that question, if I was forced to answer that, I would have to say a face and a heel. But you have someone like a Storm, right? And you got somebody like Bianca. They absolutely can make a ton of money being face versus face. But if I had to answer that, I would probably just have to say we have to have one good girl, one bad girl. Because now I have to root for someone and I have to now boo somebody. And to me, I feel like that's where the money's at. That's going to be that big sale, that big buy.
Absolutely. I agree 100% with that. It has to be. Because y'all know me. I don't like that. I don't like that shit.
Oh, we know.
Yeah, I don't like that.
You like Hogan versus Warrior? That was face versus face.
I did, and that was one of the. I feel like that was one of the biggest ones that we've ever had, where he had a face versus face, two mega faces, right, at the time. Yeah. I think that was one of the biggest exceptions. I don't think that always works, and I don't think that'll work as well in this situation. I think definitely one of them is going to turn heel. If I had to pick one, I guess it would be Jade. But yeah, definitely, I gotta have a face versus heel. I don't think this match and those characters can be like a Warrior Hogan, even at that level.
Okay. Speaking of face versus heel, we didn't even bring this as a opportunity, as a chance last week on the pod. There is a chance we get Jey Uso versus Tama Tanga in the finals of the King of the Ring tournament.
Is. I'm now looking at this.
We didn't even talk
absolutely right
about that. I'm sitting here trying to find things for Jey to do so he doesn't have to get back involved in the bloodline immediately. And there's an opportunity for him to get involved immediately in the bloodline feud. Now, he would have to beat Gunther. And I think we all thought this was Gunther's tournament to win, but it's maybe Gunther's tournament to lose. And if Jey beats Gunther and we get Tama's beating Orton, I can't see them beating Tama, and this new bloodline cannot take a loss right now. You can easily have Tama roll him up, right? A distraction from Solo or whoever the case may be. We can get past that, and Orton loses nothing from losing 3 against 1 of the bloodline. But I did not even think about until they showed that bracket on Friday night. I was like, holy hell, we could get Jey versus Tama and reignite this bloodline feud
immediately,
like now, right now.
Listen, I'm looking at the brackets. And not until you just said it did I even think. I have Jey on top, Tama right there. And I still didn't even think about, it's a possibility. Holy
Yeah, I
hell.
actually I have the brackets right here. I was taking a couple notes here. So we got Jey Uso versus Gunther, Tama Tonga versus Randy Orton, right? And then we got Lara versus Sky, Bianca versus Nia Jax. So I'm looking at it. I'm like, gosh, I'm still in my mind thinking like this is Gunther's tournament. Like, all right, I guess Gunther somehow beats Jey Uso, but I'm like, damn, Jey loses again. Like, right, 'cause he wasn't originally even scheduled to be in the tournament. So
Correct.
in my mind, I'm like, all right, if Jey wins, they would have to rewrite what they're doing with this tournament, right? To get Jey Uso versus Tama Tonga. Because in my mind, I'm still thinking this is when I hate when I do this. Like, all right, what match are they trying to give us at the Super Show? Right, versus actually watching as a fan, right? I'm like, all right, like would a Jey Uso versus Tama Tonga match sound great on a Super Show? I don't know if today it does, but from a fan perspective, I would love to see it, right? Because you immediately get to see them, but at the same time, like they're on two different brands, right? So Jey is firmly on Raw, and if I'm what's the old boy's name? I just told you earlier we were having a conversation. I can't remember people's name anymore. What's the GM's
Fred.
name on
That's an insider right there. Sorry.
Don't do that to poor. Don't do that to poor Fred. What's the GM's? Adam Pearce.
Nick Aldis? Oh, okay.
No, Adam Pearce. Yeah. Okay. If I'm Adam Pearce, why I'm going to give, Jey Uso to the Blue brand? Like, what incentive would I have? Right? They have to come up with some kind of big blockbuster trade, and I don't think you do that. Not right now, but how do they
either way though? Either way, because even if Gunther goes against Tama or Orton, that's still Raw versus SmackDown. Regardless, it's going to be Raw versus SmackDown in the finals on both.
Sides. As far as a feud, right? From a feud perspective,
gotcha.
If we get the Bloodline versus Jey and it becomes like some type of a feud, gotcha. I'm still going with Randy and Gunther.
Man, I'm gonna be cheering for Jey so hard just because I would and this could be way too soon. So I could be like counteracting what I just said about that's why you don't do Bianca and Jey now in that, because like that's the money feud way down the line. Now that's, of course, ain't nobody saying Tama and Jey's gonna be a WrestleMania caliber main event but that could be the kickoff of Bloodline 1.0 versus Bloodline 2.0. It's just a matter of, I guess, when is Roman going to come back? Like where are we at in that story arc? I think if Jey beats Gunther on Monday, we are much closer to seeing Roman back than maybe we thought just a couple weeks ago.
I have now had this epiphany.
Ooh.
And I remember I kept saying that Jey was going to be the king of this championship or this tournament. Or the tournament. He's going to be the king of the tournament. And I was like, nah, I don't think so. I think there was another story written for Jey. My epiphany was this whole King of the Ring was created for the Bloodline. So we could get Jey and Tama in the finals and for whomever to go over. But I think this was, hey, we have to do King and Queen of the Ring to get ready for that PLE in Saudi. What's the best way to do it? So I think this was meant for Jey to win at this point. Clearly, and I can say that because he's now in the semifinals.
Right. But just go with it.
But I think this. What I said from the beginning that Jey should be the winner.
You said this a year ago before we even knew there was a tournament. You was like, Jey's going to win the King of the Ring tournament in 2024. Yeah, you was on
it. Exactly.
Book it, mama. Book it.
Exactly. But can I say this though? I want to ask y'all thoughts on this. We don't have to deep dive. I feel like we just deep dived the entire SmackDown so far. But the Tama and LA Knight match, felt it was worked well. Felt it was worked well, really well. I just didn't follow it. I didn't follow with it. I felt like, I'm gonna call it a face buster after how everything was built. And again, the volume's not super up high.
It was like, so I'm not really liner.
It was just like, you got a face buster.
No, that's the zigzag, y'all. No, it's not the zigzag.
No, it's the opposite way of the zigzag. It's the opposite way of the zigzag. But point is, I'm like, the way that the match was being worked up into this point, I'm like, again, because I'm not so crazy about LA Knight, that's probably why I said I just didn't follow the match. But it was a well-worked match. Then for Tama to come in after he's getting beat down by LA Knight, and I guess you're trying to keep LA Knight looking strong. I guess I can't hate on that part of it because I want LA Knight to do well. But for him to come back in the ring and then get face bustered to lose and get laid out, I was just like, this.
Let me ask you a question, Rhodesia. Okay, I want that same energy. I like the energy. Maybe because I got this coffee is kicking in, but I like your energy. So take Tama out, right? Had that same thing happen, right? Exact same move for move, distraction. LA Knight turns around and Randy is in the match, and he turns around and RKO's him. Would you feel the same way?
No. So again, if it's your finisher, it's your finisher. But his finisher just did not, to me, execute the way that I felt it should, based off of how the match flow was. LA Knight wasn't messed up. He wasn't beat down. So if it was like I got eye gouge or if I got kicked in the nuts, that's completely, totally different. You got a face buster. I get that your finisher is your finisher, but LA Knight getting laid out after he's been pretty much dominant the whole match, if you look at just time-wise, to me, it just that fell flat to me, no pun intended.
The reason why I asked you about if it was Randy Orton, he did an RKO, is because that's what Tama's finisher was in New Japan. It was an RKO. So this is just an inverted way of him doing it. He can't do the RKO now, right? It's like, so this is his inverted way of doing that move. So that's his finish, right?
You got to work on it then. or don't work on it, because when I watched the replay of it, because when I saw it I was like, no, this is not the end of it. I actually rewinded it to say, okay, let me be objective here, like, is this good? And
you say rewinded it?
Is that what you call it? Rewinded?
Yeah, exactly, man. Don't listen to Matt.
It's rewinded.
You cooking, man. You cooking. I'm eating it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we rewinded it.
Actually, rewinded it.
I didn't say that many times. I said when rewinded it. So when I rewinded it, I had to watch it back again. So I'm tripping. I'm like, because it's called rewinded it.
So then, yeah. I rewound it.
Rewound.
No, don't listen.
Okay.
Don't listen. Don't listen to him.
Rewound it.
Don't listen to him.
No,
that
it's
is
not.
what it is.
No, you wouldn't say rewound did.
He's trying to change the ingredients in the meal right now, Rhodesia. Don't let him. Don't let him change the ingredients. Keep going.
Point is, the psychology then had to be just a little bit better than at the end of the match. Because like you said, you see it all the time. You get distracted. You're up in the match. You get distracted by outside interference, and then boom, you turn around, you hit, and then the match is over. But to me, having a great SmackDown so far, everything making sense, everything feeling fluid, and then all of a sudden I get this face buster done. I'm like, what in the hell?
It's I'm with you. It's the finisher, like, because I think he's been using this finisher in his past couple matches. It's his inverted RKO. I just don't feel like it's a strong finish yet. You know, maybe it can get there. I think it's just a finish. Like, if it was the RKO, and, you know, he had something he had been using for years, like in New Japan, I think it would have meant more in that moment. But because, like, that finisher ain't there yet, like, right, I think that's probably why you felt the same. I felt the same way too, to be honest with you. Because it was kind of slow, turned around into him, and then boop, boop. They need to make, like, that move. I feel like if Corey Graves, and actually, what do y'all think about Corey Graves taking over on the lead role? He okay?
I think he's okay right now. I think he's okay, borderlining to good. Right now he's not, because he's in the lead role, man. So that is completely different than what he's always done his entire career. I feel like in the role that he's in right now, just in my opinion, he's not adding anything to SmackDown, but he's also not taking anything away from SmackDown. So it's like, okay, it's Corey Graves on the call. It's not.
He's better. He's better than that dude they fired from Raw, right?
Oh, worlds better. Better. He's only going to get better. And you're also looking at him too. They also paired him with Wade Barrett. If you just look at time in place, right, time of service, he's one of the rookies outside of Pat McAfee. You know, so it's not like he was paired with another color commentator who could lead. Yeah, that's I mean, and Wade is really good too in his role. But yeah, I feel like he's okay, borderlining on getting good.
I didn't pay attention at all this one because I couldn't hear him, because I told you the volume was pretty low, so I didn't pay attention at all. But over was it been 2 months now, something like that? I didn't feel like I'm losing anything.
But they don't take away, right? They don't take away from it. I mean, that's what I think in that moment, if they had somebody else, like a Michael Cole, maybe calling those finishes for Tama, like, oh my God, how vicious that one. Okay. You know, something just to kind of add some credibility to it. Just like, oh, he's been taking people out for years with this finisher or something like that. Just to kind of add some sizzle to it, like, you know, JR would have done years ago when he cared about wrestling. Well, he cares about wrestling. He's that's
Oh
like
my.
the AEW style. But that's what you need. Like, right? Like, I feel like that's what was missing. Just them to add some smack on that boy. I need a smack sound effect. Just to add some oomph to it.
And my last thing on this, and because that could have been it too, but even outside of that, because I told you I watched the whole show pretty much on one of the lower settings and volumes. Even LA Knight didn't think that was the finisher, because if you go back and watch it, you know how most people, when they get laid out, they're laid out. They just call it laid out because they do the crucifix, and at this point, they're about to get pinned. He wasn't like that. His eyes were still open and everything. So me, coming from watching John Cena, me watching Roman Reigns all the time, looking hard as heck at the arm of the ref, I'm thinking he's about to kick out. Because he being LA Knight, didn't give me anything that was the finisher. So I also think maybe it's how he took the finisher. So if this is Tama's thing, because like I said, it looks like it could be a pretty good move. LA Knight didn't take it like, oh my God, that's the end of my life. Like, it almost like
LA Knight. You said LA Knight is a bad seller, right? He didn't fill out.
Let's go with that.
It's LA Knight's fault.
Let's roll with it. It's LA Knight's fault. Let's roll with it.
You don't like his ass anyway. It's his fault.
He's going to take my job off of this show. That's why. 3 the hard way. He's trying to be the 3rd hard way.
I'm gonna move on because I could easily play devil's advocate hard on this one, but what I'll just say is he didn't look like that because you kept saying he got laid out. He didn't get laid out. He just lost. Being laid out is you take the 3 and you're still laying there. So if that would have happened with that finish, what you're saying makes sense, but he did not. So he actually, what you're saying is a moot point. He didn't get laid out.
If
he got caught, he got caught because of bloodline, whatever it was. It could have been a roll up. Point is, he got caught because of the distraction. He gets hit with the finish, match is over. So he's not laid out from it. If he was laid out from it, then what you're saying has credence to it. But he wasn't laid out.
So then that's why don't get laid out. You get caught.
He got caught slipping.
And you got attempt to kick out,
and he was out with his eyes open. That happened.
Yeah, no, because that's still his finish. So now that's showing maybe a little bit of you being desensitized to somebody hitting the finish, and then the match is over. Back in the day, it didn't matter what happened before you hit your finish. When that finish is hit, the match is over.
I'm good
and that's
with that.
What happened
but that's the
here.
point that I'm making.
But
I'm good with that.
Y'all are missing the big thing. To hell with that match. Let's talk LA Knight and Carmelo Hayes. That's the story.
Yep.
That's the story from the fantastic backstage segment.
The threads that they did.
Going back and forth to LA Knight telling him, go somewhere else to go play. I'm busy right now. Then for them to double back afterwards. And I love they are doing Carmelo. Once again, we talked about it last week, but bravo. I was worried. I said what I said back in January, but he's got that. I don't know if it's confidence. I don't know if it's comfort, but he lost against Orton, and once again, it's not even going to matter because he'll be able to spin it some way like he did with his loss against Cody. But he's got that it factor, and he's showing it in spades right now on SmackDown. But when I saw him in LA Knight, I was like, very interesting. And then when we got the quick LA Knight and Logan Paul face to face, and that crowd popped because that crowd knew what that means. All right, that's still the North Star for LA Knight. It's still going to be that U.S. championship. I thought, and that could be also why I thought the show was so good too. It was like they maximized their stars where they needed to. So, but that's the story. So maybe we get Knight versus Hayes at King and Queen of the Ring or the next PLE. I'm not sure, but North Star for LA Knight, and we know it now, is Logan Paul.
Now, real quick before you go, Rhodesia, like, don't say y'all. I got Carmelo on my notes. God damn it, I got the ascension of Carmelo Hayes and how he was great in almost every segment. And he looks like he belongs in everything he does. Even like his match with Randy Orton, like it looked like, so like my son, my 10-year-old, when I was looking at him, they're like, man, you come up to like damn near my stomach, man. Like, but he getting big, right? But you a little guy, right? So that's why I looked like in that ring. It looked like Carmelo was Randy's son, how small he was compared to Randy Orton. Like that, he was like sonning him in that moment. But he don't act like it. He don't act like he's somebody's son. Hell, he a grown-ass man handling business. And I love his whole heel persona. I think he was great in antagonizing before and after the segment. I would love a potential like Carmelo and LA Knight feud, whatever they go into it. And as you said, I got a note right here, like, oh, we planting the seed with LA Knight and Logan Paul. Like, maybe he might be the guy to take that belt off of him. But real quick, unless you have something, Rhodesia, man, I love to get into that Logan Paul and Cody segment.
I was
I
actually
would love to
gonna
get
say,
into it too, sir, because you have been on my head for like 2 weeks.
Yes.
You've been on my head for like 2 weeks. So let's
Yes.
get some background. Remember a couple weeks ago when Solo worked his match, I was like, man, Solo got on boots. He was like, dude, Solo's had boots for like months. I didn't recognize the boots. He's been on my head since then.
Actually, he's had the boots for 6 months. Actually, keep going.
Okay, so he's been on my head about, you didn't even recognize Solo had these boots on. Like, I've heard that from like every other day. So when they did the segment with Cody and Logan Paul a couple weeks ago, remember I came on the pod and I was like, they weren't clear on, is this title for title? Like, is this title, like, what is this? And I'm like, that's a miss on their part because we left that segment not knowing what the match was. He was on my head again. Like, I don't know, man. Like, you didn't notice Solo didn't have the boots, so you may have missed something there too. I'm like, no, I didn't miss anything. So I sent E something Friday surrounding that. They're going to announce that the match is only for the Universal title or the WWE Championship is what they call it now.
Yeah.
Right. And he didn't understand. I was like, look, I told you I was right. Like, they didn't do a good job of articulating that the first time.
You were still wrong, though, but keep going.
No, I wasn't wrong. I wasn't wrong at all. Because I said that they didn't do a good job because I think they didn't know
champion
how they
versus
wanted.
Champion.
Correct.
That's what Logan Paul said. Champion versus champion.
They said champion. They said that. They said title for title champion. Like what I say, hey, make sure you watch the show. And this is what I love because see, Matt likes to get on the show. He'll get on me and Rhodesia about not watching stuff and missing things. I said, your time's gonna come. Your time's gonna come when you gonna miss some stuff because guess what?
Make my point for me.
Life happens, and sometimes you miss a couple of things. Like right? So you just missing. You just missed that prior to that they said title for title. And so they had a contract for a title for title, and Logan Paul said, no, we ain't doing that. It's just for yours.
So then they couldn't have said it then. They couldn't have said it then. But what you guys think about the segment? I thought it was fun, of course, and Logan gets better and better when he has something. Like there's times where you can see with Logan Paul where he's focused and he had fake Vince McMahon out there, and that's all I could really see in that entire segment. I had to watch the segment twice.
He reminded me of Jack Tunney.
Him too. It was like
Jack Tunney.
Like the 80s Tunney.
He looked like somebody I knew. Like, who's this guy? Yeah.
Oh man.
So like I had to go back and watch. But like Logan is really good when he has something to sink his teeth into in a promo segment. We see him sometimes, like the promo segment that Friday before WrestleMania when it was him, KO, and Orton. Not his best. It was kind of like he was just out there just talking. But we've seen when he had the Ricochet feud, great promo. Anything he's done with Cody has been a great promo. So it's like when he's got something to sink his teeth into, it's great. But I enjoyed it. I thought he played his part well. I thought Cody played his part well. I thought Cody did a nice job of kind of putting the chink in the armor. But then I love Logan's responses like, dude, we've heard this already. Like the guy before you said this. And he's right. But Cody's right. Like, you really ain't done nothing to get this title shot.
I mean, I can't follow that. I thought it was a really good, entertaining interaction between the both of them. And they did have to do some cleanup on what was really at stake at Saudi. They had to, because what I heard on that SmackDown was, all right, champ, so then why don't at Saudi we champion versus champion wrestle or whatever he said. It was never clear, or it was either everything or nothing or nothing. Like, to me, I felt like I did not know what was up for a grab outside of bragging rights. I thought maybe it could have been just bragging rights. They had to do a cleanup on what really was at stake.
You remember that horrible pay-per-view back in the day, bragging rights?
That sounds familiar, but it might be a good thing I don't remember it.
Oh my God, man. It was like before they started doing with Survivor Series, like brands. Oh, it was horrible though. Yeah, we really came a long way. I'm sorry. Go ahead, man.
That's because Vince McMahon just was terrible at his job, man. He's just horrible at his job. He just is terrible at his job. But I really enjoyed it. I love Logan Paul. Like, I just love the entire segment. You know, Cody coming out there. You know, the crowd's still behind him. And I was like, man, I can't believe that Rhodesia think the crowd's going to turn on this man.
He still has another a couple
month.
More days.
Like, they're going to go that hot
he has a couple more
to
days.
going that cold. I can't believe. I can't believe it. Days. But I love Logan Paul's interaction, because like that Logan Paul's interaction and him as a heel just really stood out to me, right? Like, they were getting down on him and he'll stop talking and he'll finish and he's like, man, this crowd is horrible. Like, it's just his whole like cadence. I just really enjoyed it. And for me, you know, again, I'm a Cody fan. I like Logan. I told you guys a couple shows ago that, like, you know, on paper, this is a big matchup. one of the hottest wrestlers in the world, Cody Rhodes, one of the biggest personalities in the world, Logan Paul. They need to have this super match, super show. This is what they have available right now. And they're starting to make it mean something, right? Like they're trying to put some storyline stuff, trying to put some heat on it. And I think it's working. So again, just a great segment for a great show. And I don't want to say this is like one of the greatest SmackDowns I've ever seen, but certainly it was one of the most entertaining ones that I watched in a really long time.
It was. Like, I mean, I don't have any complaints at all. Even so once again, I'm watching the show in a different lens because of who I'm watching it with. Right. So even the tag match served its purpose because that was the Spot Fest fast-paced match. And
I fast forward through a fast-paced spot match.
And my family who was watching it reacted as such.
I'll
with
go
it.
back and watch it.
So it's just, I mean, of course they know what they're doing way more than we do just as fans, but watching it with people who are not as into it in detail like we are, which is the minority of fans that watch, you can see how and why things are done the way they are. E, you said you had some on AEW you wanted to talk about, right?
Yeah, I do. Let me switch over to my notes here. My computer isn't working for me today.
And I got two things on Wednesday I want to bring up. I got a Cody topic that I want to bring up. And I also have a question surrounding who does a particular move the best in his multiple choice. That's going to be good. Both of those are going to be good for some good conversation. So we'll talk about that on Wednesday.
So I want to talk to you guys about AEW's card from AEW Dynamite card from Wednesday. So I want to go over some matches, right?
Okay.
So Dynamite, we had Okada versus Dax Harwood for the Continental Championship. We had Toni Storm versus Harley Cameron. Let's just skip that one because that won't do anything for my point here. We had the Young Bucks versus Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal. We had a match with Hook. We had Adam Copeland calling out Malachi Black. He was advertised. We had Brian Danielson, and Jon Moxley versus Jeff Cobb and Kyle Fletcher. And then we had a segment with Willow and Mercedes. So a year ago, how high of investment would you have for this card?
For what you just named, probably pretty high because you said some pretty big names in there. So probably pretty high.
What about you, Matt?
A year ago, it would have been the same amount of investment I had this past week.
And which was it high?
Mm-mm.
What about you, Rhodesia?
Nope.
Was it high investment?
I said probably pretty high.
Oh, no, but how was your investment like this week when going into that match?
I didn't really watch all of Dynamite. Yeah. I just saw a couple stuff from Dynamite.
Yeah. And their ratings was like under 700,000 again. So like when I look at when I was looking at it, I'm like, man, damn, that's a pretty decent card. And I just don't care about it. And I thought like, damn, I wonder why that is, right? And when I watched the show, it was a pretty good show. They tried to do some storyline stuff. Now that opening segment with Brian and Moxley versus Jeff Cobb and Kyle Fletcher, that's one of them things where, all right, that's just it's a match just for good if you're into match work. But for me, it was a really good show. They had some really good storyline dangling in there. And they're trying to build towards Double or Nothing, which is next week. And I kind of feel like overall, unless you're like just a huge AEW hardcore fan, I feel like people don't care that in another week, we got Mercedes' first AEW match. And there's no buzz behind it. There's no excitement. I mean, do you guys feel that? Do you guys feel like the excitement for AEW right now?
You said it in your question. You said that outside of being a AEW fan, a huge AEW fan, there's no excitement because we have another product that is so damn good that unless you are a huge AEW fan, I don't know when you compare like what we've been watching in the King Queen and the Ring tournament build up, just from a tournament build up, how exciting it's been versus AEW. I'm really, really, really excited about seeing Mercedes and Willow because I think that's going to feed the audience for a while. I thought it was what I did see a highly passionate promo between Will Ospreay and my boy Roderick Strong. I'm excited about that at DoN. So yeah, but I like AEW, but I can't say that I didn't watch Dynamite and I'm still an AEW fan, but I am. But point is, I think in your question, you just said it. Unless you are a huge AEW fan, you're probably not going to care because you have something else that is so damn good with WWE.
I ain't got nothing to add to it. I just don't care. And that's not a bad thing when I say I don't care. What I mean is I come on here almost every week and talk about how they have to make us care. They got to do a better job making us care. They've done a really good job of making us care about the Young Bucks with the EVP situation and Jack Perry. They have. They have not done a good job of making us care about Swerve in his first title defense. The segments have been entertaining with Christian and Nick Wayne and Nick Wayne's mom. It's good stuff. Anytime you turn on AEW for the most part, you're going to be entertained by what you watch. Doesn't mean that you're emotionally invested. And of course, I'm going to watch Double or Nothing because it's Double or Nothing and the show's going to be great. But no way in the world am I excited enough to spend $50 because I watch professional wrestling. No. In Willow's match, in Mercedes' match, maybe and I understand why they did it in March. You double backed with Ospreay and Okada, and then it was like boom, 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 excellent. Maybe we pushed back Mercedes to 2 weeks ago, and that was her debut, and now it's only a 3-week build of hey Willow, and I'm coming after you in that championship I never lost, opposed to us doing this for 2 months.
I think that was a marketing strategy
over and over again. And I thought that segment was good. I know Mercedes gets a lot of hate. Even my guy Rich sent me a text was like, I'm gonna say it, Mercedes is a horrible promo. I don't think she's a horrible promo, but I do think it is clear lines now that she's a heel. Willow's a face. And this is the Willow I've been wanting for a very, very long time. And they're maximizing her. Now we'll see if they're just doing this just to feed her to Mercedes and Mercedes wins that championship, because doesn't Mercedes have to win that championship? It's her first match. So it's like, all right, well then where does Willow go after that? But they have to do a better job of making you care. The show's always going to be good. The matches are always going to be good, but as much wrestling content that I am consuming right now with
good
watching
wrestling content,
5 hours of main WWE locked in on it, right? So it's not like before where it's like, okay, I'm gonna fast forward through maybe 30 minutes of Raw or et cetera, et cetera. I'm watching 5 hours a week of WWE main. I'm watching 2 hours of NXT. I'm at 7 hours. The only reason why we don't talk NXT on this show is like our scheduling of days that we record. We record on Tuesday night, so we automatically can't talk about it on the Wednesday pod. And then by the time Sunday comes, unless it's like a major story, we're on to Dynamite and, maybe Collision and SmackDown and whatever news is going on. But I'm watching 2 hours of NXT every single week. So now I'm up to 7 hours. I watch Dynamite weekly, adamantly. So now I'm up to 9 hours. And by the time I get to Dynamite, I've already watched 5 hours of typically good wrestling, good to great wrestling in TV. So if I'm watching just great matches, cool. Like I'm not wasting my time watching it, but I'm not emotionally invested. And so to answer your question, long-winded, that's what it is, man. But we've said that constantly, is that you got to get people emotionally invested. And how you do it is through the storytelling, it's through the promos. It's like even like Darby coming back, which I think is a really bad. I think it's a really bad idea. Like I don't understand how he's cleared. He's got hit by a bus a couple weeks ago.
This man got hit by a bus.
I thought his foot was broken.
His foot was broken.
Right.
So in 2 months, this man's foot done healed. He's recovered from a bus injury, and now he's about to be in his big match. God dang, this little guy.
I don't understand how he's getting cleared for that. But like even that, I don't know. It's just, man, like
I have no problem with. I love Darby. I thought that was an amazing surprise. I popped super hard for that. That got me interested in Anarchy in Arena or Stadium, whatever it's called. I actually popped hard for that, and it made me get more emotionally invested in that match. 100% over. But to your point, I still don't know. They probably need to get another set of doctors to make sure he is okay and clear to go.
If he wasn't hurt, I'm with you.
Yeah,
I don't understand how he's not. How is he cleared?
He got that LeBron treatment.
That we gotta switch matches day of because they get to the arena and the doctors look at him and they aren't cleared. Like I don't understand. Like how is he
How he's
He,
cleared now.
he gets like
How?
stem cell treatments and stuff like that. And he
Hey,
has like an incubator. that
you can get
heals him.
doctor's notes online now, right? Like I wonder that's what he's doing. I wonder is he forging his own doctor's
Spreading
notes
them.
saying I'm cleared? Yeah, like here, Tony, I'm cleared. Just from my doctor. Dr.
He does
Seuss.
the opposite
Dr.
of
Seuss.
opposite of us. Like
Dr. Seuss said I can come back to work.
Dr. Seuss. I want to take days off of work. I'm trying to get these notes online to say, hey, Rhodesia can be off of work for X amount of days. He's trying to get back to work.
He's trying to get back.
That's
The
crazy.
hell?
But back in the day, back in our day, Rhodesia, when the Monday Night Wars was hot, we was consuming almost just as much content, but it was hot content from both products. But when I watched the show, for me, I see them trying to do some storylines. We got the EVP thing going on, right? We got them doing that as a trend, like with the Swerve and Christian thing. Like we see they're really trying to stack the deck against Swerve, right? With all these different guys, these jumps, these beatdowns. Even with Chris Jericho and Hook, they're trying to tell a story there. You got Malachi Black and Edge. They're trying to tell a story there. It seems like they're trying to slow the product down a little bit too, like on that show. But it's just not catching it for a lot of people. And it's sad that you guys just like 2 months ago were saying hey, this is a really great product. We came off that Sting retirement match and we were all in. I had some questions about the product and I'm like, nah, AEW just ain't for you. And then it's less than almost a month later, I ain't invested no more, right? It's just sad that they're doing, and your story is a story for a lot of their fans. A lot of those fans they feel that exact same way. But I feel like right now they're trending upward. But I do want to talk about Mercedes and Willow right before we go with that match. I think that they've done Mercedes a very, very big disjustice. I think that Mercedes right now lost all the sizzle that she had when she started with that company. I feel like she's just another gal on that roster, another high-end gal. She's one of the top gals, but I don't think that Mercedes is of somebody that I can say, hey, come on and watch AEW so you can watch her do her stuff. I don't think she has that. I don't think people are going to tune in, and obviously with the ratings, they're not tuning in to see Mercedes do her thing right now. I don't think overall it's been very good. I don't think overall she's been very good, to be quite honest with you. I know you guys are like, hey, she's a heel, but I don't think she was trying to be a heel when she first got there for weeks. But her CEO persona is definitely very heelish.
Very heelish.
Right? And I don't think it's super likable either way until she really digs down deep into it. I feel like the way she's been playing the character right now, it's not money, to be honest with you. I do like what Willow's doing, but I just feel like their segment is missing that oomph, to be honest with you. I don't know what it's missing, but it's missing something.
For Mercedes, I said I was going to still reserve my judgment on her because she wasn't cleared. And I think it was just a marketing. When you did big business in Boston, you wanted to try to keep what fans you still had left to bring exciting television. So you introduced Mercedes to back the, hey, we do have her signed. Let's debut her. But to me, it was messed up when I found out that she was still hurt and wasn't cleared, because I felt like then you didn't have to pull that bag out of your that trick out of your bag, because you had Okada, like Matt mentioned, and you had Will Ospreay already. So I'm going to reserve my judgment all about Mercedes until actually after Double or Nothing, when she first starts to wrestle, because she wasn't cleared when she first debuted. So kind of like, who was it that we were talking about? It wasn't Adam Copeland. It was somebody in WWE. It's like, because right now you're kind of you don't really have a match that you're selling. Oh, Drew and Punk, mainly Punk. You don't really have a match that you're selling. So you're kind of just going to go out there and try to just get some crowd interaction. So for me, I'm reserving my judgment on Mercedes to maybe this time next month or another week or two after.
And that's the only thing that's fair because of that. Like her, even if you say she's not a strong promo, she's still out there weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks just kind of regurgitating the same thing. And this entire feud is based upon her getting hurt in real life, where Willow had nothing to do with her getting hurt. So if this was a planned storyline angle from New Japan and they're converting it over to AEW, it's got a little more teeth to it. But we all saw it. We know you just fell off the ring apron and, snapped your leg. Like, Willow had nothing to do with that. So I did really, really like Willow saying, I walked out as champion. You didn't walk out at all. She didn't say, I caused you not to walk out. I really did like that. And while you guys were talking, I pulled up the Double or Nothing card. So to shoot AEW some bail, and we'll go over really quick. Either I'm invested or I care about the match, or I know the match is going to be great. So I say like, I don't care. And I think everybody understands what I mean when I did say that I don't care is because of that emotional investment part. Swerve and Christian, do you guys care about that match? Yes, I care about it.
I care.
Okay. Toni Storm versus Serena Deeb. I care about that match.
I like Serena a lot. So yes, I care.
Toni Storm is one of my favorite. I would say top 5, maybe top 3 favorite acts in all of wrestling right now.
Okay, so you care about it. Willow Mercedes. I care. Absolutely, I care.
Yes.
Okay. I care about this match after, because that promo was very effective on Dynamite. Will Ospreay, Roger Strong. I care about the match.
Yep.
Keep going. You know what my answer is.
So you say no, right, E?
No, I just take the belt off of them. Let's move it. Keep it moving.
Okay, so so you don't care about that match, but do you think the match is going to be good?
I mean, yeah. I gotta be honest. When we talk about matches being good, I don't. The wrestling of matches isn't my favorite thing. So if I don't care about a character or invested in their storyline, I'm not going to care about the match, to be honest with you.
So then you have that as a no. You don't think the match is going to be good?
I'm not going to be interested in it. So if the question is if it's going to be good or interested in it, I'll say I'm not going to be interested in it.
Just good. Do you think it's going to be a good match?
To answer your question, good to you, yes. Good to me, no, I'm not interested in it. So like when that match is on, I'm probably not going to pay attention to it. I'm probably doing something else, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm not trying to like catch you up. I just want to know if you think it's going to be a good match.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to watch it.
Okay. Adam Copeland versus Malachi Black in a steel cage barbed wire match. Do I care about that match?
I don't care about that match.
I don't care about it from the story they're telling. I care about it because I think it's going to be incredible to see Malachi Black and Edge in a steel cage barbed wire match. So I put that under I don't care, but I know it's going to be a good match.
Agree. But if you have to say yes or no, I would just say no. But 100%. It's a barbed wire match, so that's going to be fun. And you have Malachi, and we talk about everybody loves Malachi. Everybody.
Yeah.
So we'd be able to get to see him in the ring with a veteran like what's his name? Adam Copeland. It'd be great.
It's Mama call him Edge.
I was like Edge, and I call him Christian. I'm like, geez Louise, whatever his name is.
E, do you care?
So, I'm a big Malachi Black fan, as Rhodesia was saying. I love him. I'm not necessarily a fan of Edge's. So I probably will be more interested in watching this match than the last one that we talked about because I'm more of a fan, but I feel like he's going to lose too. So I guess I got to decide. Like, I guess no.
Okay, so you don't care, but do you think it's going to be a good match?
I hope it's a good match because Malachi's in
it. Okay, so I'm going to put that under yes, you think it's going to be a good match. Anarchy in the Arena.
Yes.
Do you care? E, do you care?
To be honest, I would rather watch Will Ospreay and
Roger
in glasses.
Wow, we gotta replay that over and over again.
Well, I was going to say I don't care about this match, but I know it's going to be good. I know it's going to be good, but I don't care. I don't care about. They haven't told enough story for me to be like Team AEW. Yay, we got to get the bad.
Yes, they have.
Is that really Team AEW though? Is that really Team? When you think about a team as AEW, is that Team AEW to you?
That's the way they tried to make it seem. That's the way they tried to make it seem. So, IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Eliminator match: Jon Moxley versus Takeshita. I don't care about the match, but I know the match is going to be great because I think Takeshita should be doing something different.
I think it's fair to say all pay-per-views that AEW does going into it, just looking at the wrestlers themselves, I think we always say that they're going to have good to great matches. So I think I'm going to just always say that I think they're going to always have a great pay-per-view. Always. Your matches.
No, it's not the pay-per-view. I'm only going match by match. We've seen some stinkers on AEW pay-per-view that we were like, man, that match wasn't good. That they never clicked. That wasn't good. So we've seen that. So do you care about this match?
No.
Do you think it's be a good match?
Yes.
Okay, E?
Preface it.
Gosh, see, I get where you're going with this match. I have a hard time answering. To me, my investment, if I care or not for the match, it depends on how good of a match it is to me. Right? So if I'm not into the match, I probably wouldn't say, like, so for instance, if someone say like, hey, should I watch the Will Ospreay and Roderick Strong match? Like, right,
Okay.
if one of our friends who haven't seen AEW or wrestling, if they say, "Hey, should I go out of my way to see this match?" I would say no. And not because of match quality. I just don't, for me as a fan, I'm not invested in the match and what's going on in it. So I'm not gonna recommend the match to a fan, right? I will recommend. We haven't gotten there. I would recommend Strickland versus Christian before a lot of these matches we're talking about, to be honest with you, because I'm more invested in what they're doing. So when we're talking about for me saying I don't care about the matches just as much as me saying it's not a good match. I'm probably not going to watch it. And at this point, if I wasn't a fan, we had to do these shows. I certainly wouldn't spend $50 to watch this DON match. I mean DOD.
The pay-per-view.
To be honest with you,
because the last match is our Terminator, our bulletproof guy, Orange Cassidy, making a miraculous comeback against Trent. That's the last match on this show. So you're talking so far 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 matches. And I think if somebody, I didn't do the math, but I think if somebody did the math on it, 7 out of 8 or 8 out of 8, I'm like, oh, I think they're gonna be good matches, but I only care about half of them.
Yeah, that's kind of my alignment there.
And like you wouldn't recommend that, like based on that scenario. Hey, these are good matches, but yeah, hey, would you recommend this show to spend your hard-earned money? Because it's not like it's a PoE. You already got a Peacock subscription or whatever the case may be, and you can just tune into it because you're already paying. Like I'm paying $3 a month for Peacock, right? Just turn it on, right? You got these guys like, hey, do you recommend this show? It's $50.
Pricing being equal, I would absolutely recommend the show.
But it ain't though. Right?
Pricing is not equal. Pricing is not equal.
It's not. So that is a hard pill to swallow, because when you're talking about already, we don't have to go down this road, but when groceries are like doubled, now you talking about you got to cough up $50 to watch this wrestling pay-per-view when we have very great wrestling over here. It is kind of hard to say, hey, spend your money on over here when you can that's almost half a year Peacock subscription.
Yeah.
And you can get pay-per-view or PLE every month. That is hard.
Or I can go out to a nice restaurant and think instead of spending $50 on to watch on Sunday.
And it sucks. And it does suck though, E, because kind of like just maybe bring your point back full circle. The matches, the talent is always going to do what the talent does in AEW. And that's put on banger matches, right? 4-star, 5-star matches till we can't get any more, till we're full of just wrestling. So to say like, man, like you look at this card, and I legit think that every match on this card, Tony's going to add 4 or 5 matches this week to put the match to like 11 matches. We won't need that many.
So we can watch Sunday at 1 p.m. 1 a.m. we still watch the wrestling matches.
So
on Sunday,
he's going to do that. But if you just look at these matches, it would be hard pressed to be like, I know this show is not going to be good. We know this show will be good, but it's the matter of if I care or not. And for the majority of matches, I just don't care. But I say that to say this. I'll be watching. I will still be watching Dynamite every Wednesday. And they'll be here for All Out. I'm still trying to get E to come. We'll be in Chicago for All Out. So they still have me. And that's only because I am such a massive wrestling fan. Because I kid you not, when I was sitting there watching Dynamite Wednesday, I thought like, okay, we're going to have to tweak our recording schedule just for like work schedule and such outside the pod. But WWE came out and they've confirmed NXT is still going to be on Tuesdays, Raw still going to be on Mondays on Netflix, and then Fridays, SmackDown still going to be on USA Network. So they're not changing their days. I really thought like, should we switch recording the pod to Wednesdays during Dynamite so we can watch NXT on Tuesdays and have conversations about that if need be? I really thought about that. So that's kind of where I'm at, just in terms of like how, not dedicated, but like how invested I am invested in AEW right now. I'm thinking like, okay, maybe we should like move it around so we can talk more NXT. I would have never thought that.
Yeah,
I would have never thought that 2 years ago.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair, because then that would be that we've already then drew the line in the sand that AEW is just not a priority of ours. And I think with, at least for my vision on this show, was you got your two big companies, and then hey, if TNA makes a splash and they become a big name, that we should not report because we're not journalists, but we should talk about it because I don't want to alienate some fans, but the writings are on the walls, and I'm not gonna sit up here and act stupid. We know the WWE is it; they're them, right? But I feel like we would completely be doing AEW a disservice. Just saying, hey, let's record on the night that they would, because I'm already having a hard time watching Dynamite myself. Can you imagine like we record on the night that Dynamite? I'm never watching Dynamite at that point.
That brought a smile. That brought a smile.
I actually suggested Wednesday 2 years ago. I'm like, yo, we do, because we don't really typically talk about AEW until our second pod anyway, right? But at least now we on a Wednesday we would have NXT, we will have Monday. So on the slow week, we can talk about Raw, we can talk about NXT, any kind of news, and we still will talk about AEW on the second pod anyway, because we record typically on a Tuesday. We haven't seen Wednesday, so now it's all the way to Sunday, and we Dynamite's happened, collisions happened, and look, I'm not changing my schedule. I'm not watching Dynamite until probably Friday, Saturday morning anyway. So nothing changes for me.
And maybe something for us to think about, like seriously, because that's just where they are. And then we can always, of course, can move it around. But I think the majority of people who listen to our pod are mainly WWE fans, for sure.
Yeah.
So that may actually work out if we can add some NXT talk. So once again, if you guys are listening, watching, shoot us a message. Let us know what you would prefer. If you would prefer us to kind of stick to what the format is in regards to how we talk, or would you say like, hey, I really would like to hear you guys talk way more about NXT, and that's something we can look at for sure. And then we may have to switch it if AEW gets super duper hot. And
but how will we know if we ain't watching it?
No, we would still be.
Mayweather fans. Yeah. Oh my God!
I'll watch it on the weekends, but we do have some viewers to say like, hey, when you guys start talking AEW, that's when I turn the pod off. So
yeah, they've been gone for the last 30 minutes. Jesus. All right, well, I guess with that being said, we out too then. That was it, right? We ain't got nothing else. That was everything. Mm-hmm. Is that a wrap?
The docket is clear. Doctor.
All right, the doctor is clear. So we out of here. Y'all know the deal already. I ain't got to keep telling you, but I'm gonna keep telling you. Hit that follow button. All right, wherever you listen to the pod, so you can make sure you keep up with us and our craziness. Twitter, that's FNW. Instagram, that's FNW. YouTube, that's Freaking Wrestling. Follow us all those places. Spread the word. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a family member. Best kept secret in wrestling podcast right here. TFW. We'll be back on Wednesday. Or who knows? Actually, after this conversation, maybe we'll be back doing live post shows of NXT on Tuesday night, so we can talk about Lola Vice.
3 the hard way.
And
oh my God,
and Jada Parker and Trick Williams and all those guys.
And gals.